All right, so my phone is going to die at some point. So we're going to get this in before then. So I wanted to get off my chest, at least discuss the changes that's happening, the changes that have happened, and to put out there that Muse Crone is the name of the platform we're going to be using, which is Substack. So it's Muse Crone Substack in the description box. But the changes that's happening in society, the changes that's happening within the collective, the changes that's happening within our internal worlds, that change is like inevitable, and it's going to start with the things that we aren't going to enjoy doing or wanting to do that we did not get a chance to do before. So how I'm seeing this play out in many of our lives is that people who have an idea are going to have confidence in that idea, and people who are consuming other content are going to have to allow themselves to be open to different approaches, different perspectives. And in the midst of becoming aware of these new changes, we're going to have to adjust accordingly. So a lot of the aspects of our worlds that's going to be changing is going to address the self-worth that we have. How do we want to be participating in society? How are we going to be useful to our peers? And the changes that's happening with technology is a part of that change. So internally, all of us are subconsciously changing, but at our core is what's really changing. And the approach that we have to the experiences that we're wanting to go through is going to change. So how I'm thinking most people should address themselves or address their new life is do what you've always wanted to do. So Dr. Barlow, let me get my drink. Dr. Barlow was a professor that was on TikTok. I believe she still is on TikTok. But I subscribed to her her coursework, but I did get the Google sheet that has all the professors' names and all the classes. I got that. But Dr. Barlow changed a lot of what's happening in the collective. And her not opening up her class to everybody, and then she went and privated her page, showed the change in the algorithm. So how we are all about to look at the way we use the internet is going to be different because the creators are creating different content. So the approach that Dr. Barlow had, which was making her course into like short skits of notes that are going to be helpful to the course load that she's going to have, is the approach that everybody was subconsciously wanting but afraid to make. Now, these changes that's happening through society and that's happening within our internal worlds are addressing what she highlighted. And I'm starting to think like Dr. Barlow changed the way we are going to use the internet, but she changed also the way we are interpreting information online. You would need prior knowledge to the topics that you're consuming. And you're going to have to be able to do your own research in order for you to extensively understand what's going on within what you're learning, right? So in the midst of understanding that everything's changing, but what ways do you want to participate in this change is what is really addressing. So with my Muse Crone Substack, the Crone archive, or the archive of the Crone, you have techniques and material and methods that we can use to try to figure out how you can navigate certain aspects of your life or certain experiences that you're having and navigate them emotionally. But I am focusing on how to get yourself out of creative ruts, how to overcome the spiritual blockages that we have that stops us from creating. These are the things that I have placed myself in a position to do. So I have in the description box a lot of links that you can go and try things out, see what works for you. And I have a 7-day trial up for the content on my page. You have it all for 7 days. And then after that, it is the price that's shown on there. So overall, addressing certain aspects, exclusivity is what is going to be going on now, as Dr. Barlow showed, that this is exclusive to her class. If you're not enrolled in her class, you're not about to get it. And that's exactly how most people are going to be working. And to take this into the energetic part, in astrology, Lilith is a placement in our chart that has a major impact and influence on our responses. And how I like to think of Lilith in the birth chart is the part of us that responds before anyone hears it. The thoughts that we initially say before we've said it aloud is Lilith's response. Sips to that. So the raunchy, neck jerk, head throwback, laugh, all those responses are going to be what leads you to your success. Those type of responses, those perspectives, that perspective of yourself is going to be the one driving your confidence in the days forward. So, in the midst of building your platform or building your foundation for your creativity, I am aligning myself with creatives who are looking to overcome challenges in their creative pursuits, as well as overcoming setbacks, overcoming stagnant energy when it comes to creativity. So knowing that the authentic part of yourself is going to come from a Lilith placement in your birth chart is going to allow you to at least see the changes that's happening within this year. So Lilith's response is going to be a bit angry. I believe that a lot of us are going to have to feel our way through these experiences with Lilith as our bodyguard. The most that I think we're going to have to address is ourselves, mainly because we are going to have to exist as these changes go. So you are going to have to self-soothe. And along my journey, that is how I've always had to do things. And self-soothing is a part of the journey for the sake of finding compassion for yourself. So allowing ourselves to remind our subconscious that you're not doing it alone. The way we respond to our reality is going to be the way that we feel our confidence is being able to be expanded. So I had said in one of my other videos that the way you respond to your reality is going to be the way you respond in confidence. And what you believe is able to be successful in your reality is going to show where your confidence lies. So perspective is going to help you. And understanding that some things are going to require you have a different approach than you usually do is another portion of this experience that we're going to have. So internally, I'm preparing to actually help people understand that their stagnant energy is within their energetic centers. So our chakras and our hands and our feet and our minds. And a lot of us will have certain placements in your birth chart that is going to insinuate that you focus on these areas of your body to release this energy that is connected to these creative blocks. So addressing your Lilith placement is that response to your experiences, where you feel limited, where you feel repressed, where you feel that you're not able to expand and express yourself in ways that are authentic to you. These are the parts of yourself that are eager to bust open and experience this new reality. And I say all of that to say that your triggers are going to have to be self-soothed, and you're going to have to find compassion with how you're responding to the changes that come into your world. And exclusivity is going to be a part of the help that you get. Most people are going to start charging higher because certain things are going to be, what is it called? Being censored online. A lot of things are being censored online, and certain topics are not being able to be discussed freely. So you would get the watered down version when you scroll past people on your algorithm. And then on other times when you are subscribed to their newsletter or you subscribe to their platform, you then get more details to whatever they're discussing. So being of use to the community, or being of use to your specific community, is going to be a lot of what's going to be in the next few days. Well, not few days, but let's hope not. Let's hope not. But in the future months, days ahead of us, you're going to have to find out what you want to contribute to society and how to be of help. And what is going to be making a lot of people successful is paying attention to the concerns of the collective. Whatever people are saying they need help with, you are now positioning yourself to address those issues and to find some solutions to the problems that are being discussed. So this has to do with researching within your industry. What is being handled? What's working? Why is it working? What problem is it solving? Is there something that needs to be better? You are the one that is going to have to deliberate those things. And I was always trying to say to myself that, like, in the midst of trying to help people realize this concept, or at least realize the changes that's happening, or why these changes are happening, you need to know why you are doing what you're doing, why you are helping this community, why you are offering this solution to your community. These are the things that's going to help you in the midst of getting distracted, in the midst of feeling defeated. These are shadow work techniques that I'm building for people to understand how to utilize their own energy. And when their energy starts to combat their goals, this is how you overcome that. And it's easier said than done. But as I heard as a creative or a creator said online, if it's easier said than done, we should start saying it, so then we start doing, and it becomes a little bit easier to consume as a participation activity and stuff. So I think that affirming yourself to be able and capable enough to experience what you're trying to do or trying to say, we will overcome the imposter syndrome. So finding what's needed in the industry that you choose to be in is going to be how you are able to maneuver through this experience. And I'm in the mental health sector, so I'm already focusing on the psyche and psychological awareness, emotional intelligence, how to use AI and not let AI use you. You are now the creator. And when it comes to AI, I was already saying to myself that I would use AI for the reasons to make my life easier, not to do the creative work for me. But there's a way that you can utilize artificial intelligence to do the hard job, and you do the fun job. And the hard job is the task itself, and the creative part is where you're needed. AI can't be creative. AI cannot consume art and then make their own. It's going to be mirrored. It's going to be replicated. It's going to be a reflection. So how I've always prepared to assist other people is to invite them into their own world, invite them into their own perception of reality. And that's where I usually find if people are limited or people have rules on their imagination. And having rules on your imagination is not going to get you far as a creative in any way. But having rules on the way you could create things are limited to the upbringing of our lives. So internally addressing these areas of your life is where shadow work comes in, and we release the limiting beliefs that we have. Limitations are brought because we fear potential. So if we limit ourselves, we don't have to try. If we limit ourselves, we don't have to approach things with experimentation. If you limit yourself, this avoids you having to push yourself harder. So I've chose creativity because that seems to be the hardest thing that a lot of people are allowing themselves to do, which is to be a kid again. Now, not me choosing a line of work for me to be a kid again, but for me to be able to understand other people, I would have to have compassion for myself. So for me to be able to see another person, I would have to have compassion for myself. I would have to have compassion for myself in order to see compassion for someone else. So understanding that creativity is a very vulnerable experience, you would then have to have compassion for the version of you that is creating. So allowing yourself to understand that you have to be vulnerable in the portion of creating, experimentation reveals a creative person. So execution is the best part about experimenting, because you don't have to fulfill all the way to the end. You just have to see growth within your work. So allowing people to see that Muse Crone has tools and methods and techniques that's supposed to help you along your path, you would then have to come with the creation. You would have to come with the idea. So having this idea is where we work through this. Now, I have a ton of things on my Substack that you can go through. You can start labeling your birth chart with, and you can go through the notes and all the things. Everything's labeled. Have a field day and check out some stuff. But perfection years will help you get through the year itself. So for one full year, depending on your age, you will go through the themes of each house, or one house for that year. Each year it goes in a line. So the next year you'll be going on to the next sign, right? So I put myself out there. I'm going through the 8th house this year in 2025. So all the intimacy and love and all the things. These experiences are going to be in different variations of my life. I'm going to feel 8th house themes in different areas of my life, right? So according to this year, nodes have changed from Pisces to Virgo, meaning South Node and North Node. The North Node being in Pisces, we're already focusing on how we can connect spiritually to our creativity in going further. So for me, I'm not just looking at creativity as a spiritual thing. I'm actually looking at it as a collaborative thing. So how can I have my version of intimacy collaborate with another person's version of intimacy? And that is the spiritual connection between the two. So overall, with that consume aspect of my experience, I now am understanding that the vulnerability that other people are feeling is a spiritual one. The spiritual awakening to the fact that they have more options than they thought before because they were previously limited is the way that we're going to kind of like be able to navigate this. So I usually pinpoint certain placements in your birth chart as I go through it and discuss with you what you're trying to do, where you want to work on, and how to execute plans to work on that. So you should know that through each quarter, we have 4 quarters a year. 3 months of those are in each quarter. So we're already in January. We're already in February. So we're already in the second month of the first quarter. So March, last month of the first quarter, and then the first quarter is done. And then we hit spring, right? So within each season that we have, there's times. So the archive of the crone is pretty much set up as when to play and when to opt out. Now, not opting out in the sense that the opt out is you do nothing. When you're playing, is a showcase of your talent, a showcase of your solution, a showcase and a demonstration of how to execute your solution to the collective or your community. But when it's time to opt out, that means that this is not your season. You let the people whose season it is, you let them have their time, and you create. You create, you plan, and mentally rehearse how to execute your plan. So when it is your season, you're not preparing during your season. You know what I'm trying to say? So in astrology, your second house is ruled by Taurus energy. Taurus is a part of the fixed signs. So the fixed signs rule and govern over this construct and matrix and reality that we are entered into. We are born into this. 4 signs that take up and make up that structure. So Taurus energy is ruled by the second house, fixed energy. So fixed meaning this is the foundation that's here. You can't change the foundation. You have to work with the foundation. So whatever sign is in your second house is the energy of your second house. This is the energy of the foundation. So the second house is ruled by ideas, is ruled by your self-worth, is ruled by your self-esteem, is ruled by wealth, is ruled by the sensuality of your essence, is ruled by all the things that's Venus in money, love, imprints, designs, all the stuff. The foundation is the second house. So me, I have my second house in Sagittarius. So my Sagittarius house is ruled by the things that I generate. So me, the carefree, free-thinking, optimistic person is going to be ruling my second house. That's all over the things that I generate, right? So if I say that I'm going to be the person that's knowledgeable about how to execute ideas, that means I have to actually execute ideas. So I have to participate in experimenting over and over and over and over again, as a Sagittarius would. So as they say, the horse gallops, the archer looks for where they're about to shoot their arrow. I have to keep experimenting until I find what works. And then I can now shoot the arrow and say, that's my end goal. And then allow myself to move forward. These experiences, each house in your birth chart is going to give you that type of experience. So as we go through this, Dr. Barlow, exclusivity, that is how you're going to be able to get through this process. Moving forward, you don't have to let everybody know you're working. You do your thing and then you show. But in the midst of bringing your work together, there has to be a plan. So as I said, 4 quarters, we're in the second month of the first quarter, and this energy is still planning. This energy is revising the plan. We're about to go through Mercury retrograde. We're about to go through Venus retrograde. We're about to go through a solar eclipse. We're going to go through Mars changing from retrograde to direct. A lot of things are about to happen. We have you have a full moon in Leo on the 12th of February. This is the experiences that we're going to expand on. And then 2025 is a 9-year. So this is 9th house. This is all spiritual perspective expanding. So as we said, that the second house is revealed as the generated idea house, or the way you feel about yourself, your sensuality, about your essence, the way you identify yourself, the way you identify yourself with when it comes to your foundation, all the above. This is a fixed aspect of yourself. It does not change. It just is who you are, and you work with the cards that you're dealt. And these are usually hard because, to be honest with you, my second house being in Sagittarius, if I let somebody else tell you, I will never have one project finished, although I have all of them at this very moment. But one project isn't finished, and that's probably true. But there's a process with that project, so we're working on it. You hear what I'm trying to say? So it really does have to come with it, because people are going to then critique your plan when it comes to what they find out you're working on, or start to give you pointers. And I say to that, be open to the perspectives that you get, because these are the people you are catering to. These are the people who you need to know what they need so you can then make it, you know? So that's where I feel a lot of people are going to find their clutch, is listening to the things that the communities are saying they need. If you feel that you are going to be suitable enough to find a solution, then I think that's probably going to be your best bet, where instead of creating for yourself and hoping that someone likes it, you know? So we're coming into a time where we're going to have to be the people that actually help society, or people that are next to us, our peers, and other people that are, you know, you just come across. So you would be helping them in some way. I'm choosing creativity because I feel that is what my second house is telling me to do. And you maneuver through understanding that each one of these houses means something to your path, to the year that you're in, to the experiences that you're having. These signs are helping you. So the other day, not even to say it like that, because I heard it a long time ago, but that don't even matter. The people that feel like the archetype of zodiac signs do not resonate with them, think about the characteristic traits that you respond as when you are experiencing life. The zodiac signs are just dress up. The core essence, the psychological awareness behind the archetype. Do you have any similarity to the way the archetype is described and the way that you experience your life? That is the only thing I have to say to that. I know that I actually hate labels. I hate all the labels. The labels make it extremely distracting from the main point. I know I didn't resonate with Sagittarius energy growing up until I looked at what it means, and I was like, "Oh, yeah, I'm definitely a Sagittarius," and I'm working on it. It's not something that I feel is a flaw, although there's some people that could probably see it as a flaw, and then there's some people that could see it as like, "Oh, I'd probably want that," but at the same time, the cards that you're dealt are usually best for you because you are managing it well within your soul. And as I've listened to a lot of practitioners online, and I've listened to a lot of astrologers online, I've listened to a lot of holistic practitioners online, and they give their perspective on archetypes, not necessarily just astrology, but the archetypes of personalities and the big five and all the things that characterize our personality to be expressed and labeled in a specific way. You have to correlate and be honest with yourself, because a lot of us I would say that a lot of us will portray ourselves to be our sun sign, which I've said in one of my TikTok videos that the sun sign is some part of us. The sun represents the ego, right? And that's how we identify ourselves. So if we identify ourselves with an egotistical personality, when we're not being egotistical, is it really the sun sign that's expressing themselves, which is a no. But in totality, the sun sign is where we think we are, which I'm a Sagittarius sun. I was born in a season of Sagittarius, right? But that's not who I always show up as. Where in reading the birth chart, it got a little confusing because I'm like, I don't really think I respond that way. But then you have your rising sign. Then the rising sign explains a little bit more. So these personality types that we would be consuming, or I should say becoming aware of in the midst of us going through this change in society, we're going to have to consume that pretty fast. And that's a lot. I'm not even going to lie. However, as you are journeying through this journey, because I had to think about what I was about to say. If you're journeying through this journey, you are going to have to understand that compassion is the only way you're going to get through it. Not judging yourself, forgiving yourself for having these thoughts or patterns and behaviors and such things, right? Our vices become the escape in the midst of realizing these things. So doing shadow work is harder to accept than experiencing a loop of a reality that you're used to. So shadow work is something that is necessary through every process, and the shadow work is dealing with the egotistical person, which is your sun sign, which is the sun sign behavior, which is the sun, yes, because you are sunshine, for sure. But the sun sign has an essence that is portrayed in our personality when we are experiencing this reality, right? So internally, the aspect of our psyche that expresses these nonchalant responses or these aggressive responses, or the responses that are like timid, shy, and all these other things, right? Where do you show up like that in your life? And it's not beneficial. These are portions that stop you from being creative. These are where limiting thoughts reside. These are like where they fester. These are where they make themselves feel really comfortable. And this is where I feel for myself. I personally was like, okay, so now I know why I'm here. So I went to school for psychology, and I'm thinking to myself, like, I took a class that was about addictions, and I wanted to know emotionally, because we were talking about substances, but I wanted to know psychologically, how are we addictive as individuals? How are we addicted to things internally, emotionally? This is where I had to do my own research and see how things correlated to the experiences that people have psychologically. So the loops that we have of us preparing for the things that we're worried about, that's how we manifest these realities, right? But the things that we are afraid of is the connection to our nervous system that throws off these chakras that I was just referencing, our energy centers, and where we have blockages that are connected to the things that we can produce. This is hindering our generative idea system. This is our treasure chest is being affected by the limiting beliefs that we have that's stuck in certain energy centers. So I was saying to myself, the addictive things that we end up doing, which is our vices and the things that we try to stop ourselves from doing, but then we fall victim to because we just like, oh, I gotta have it. I just gotta finish. Yeah, I'm there with you. I have my own, but when it comes down to addressing them, this is the self-compassion that we have to have through this process of reparenting ourselves, because shadow work will show you that your parent can only parent you but so much. And there's a portion of your psyche that you have to reevaluate what is comforting to your soul. So shadow work is soul work. Shadow work is to address your soul mission. And I will do more videos like this, but this is just an introduction for 2025 so you guys know what's going on. But I'll do more of these type of videos for my subscribers that's on my Substack, because this gets really, touchy and we want to talk about everything. But again, everything will be in the description box below, but I'm not going to get off yet because, again, I did say my phone is going to die and I have not got that notification yet. So, so bringing up how shadow work works for the way that we kind of like execute our goals, these limiting beliefs where shadow work is going to address it. The limiting beliefs are going to be residing in places that are stagnant energy. So if you feel embarrassed by something, if you feel what is the word, you feel inadequate about something, you want to burst out into a new personality, and most females are saying that, or most women are saying that there's a part of them that just want to cut their hair off and look completely different, or show up in a completely different style just off the whim. This is a portion that is stuck into your essence and is dying for attention and creative exploration. And I know that I felt it. I had my moments. Just a little tid. Every time I changed my wig, it was a moment that I was really, really feeling like I want to bust out and be somebody else. So I think this will tell you enough that I have elevated past that expression or personality or identity that I was identifying myself as. And I am now expressing creative expression a different way. So, the places in our psyche that are holding and catering to our limiting beliefs, that detachment, where I was talking about addictive psychological patterns, which makes us have to go to therapy, allows us to know that at the end of the day comes to an end, yes, but there's a portion of your psyche that needs compassion, and no one else can give that compassion the way you can. And I feel like that's what keeps people a little bit more resistant to shadow work, because how do you cater to yourself? And I think that is where a lot of us are now trying to figure out why we're not satisfied with a lot of things. I know I can't satisfy my inner child. She wins every time. And I personally was just like, why am I so... And it's not even about indecisiveness. It's not about not having enough. It's not about none of that. I think the only thing that makes someone satisfied is having everything that you could ever want. And that's not realistic for anybody. And it's unhealthy to hold on to those type of dreams, knowing that you have to live every day before that day happens. And that reality check is a bit harsh. So I think that is where I think a lot of people kind of like say, okay, well, I don't have it in me. I don't got it in me to keep doing it. I don't want to do it. It sounds really good, but it's bound to come back into your face. It's inevitable. It is a loop that we're in until it's addressed. And that is where we're being forced to do that. And then in the middle of being forced to do that, we got Dr. Barlow saying you can't come to her class to learn that. So it's like that version of this is how we're going to work through Pluto and Aquarius. Sadly, it's about 19-year cycle. And I think the first year hasn't really started. I really don't. I think this is just like the entryway before we even hit the door, like the little mat at the door. I don't even think we hit the mat yet. I just think we got the front gate of this transit. But I'm saying this to say, like, addressing our vices don't have to be substances. Our vices could be a hold that our teenage self won't let go of, a hold emotionally to something that we experienced at 14 years old that we won't let go of. These are the experiences that hold us back from experimenting and exploring ourselves creatively, because it's so vulnerable. And I started to look at how we address our addictive behaviors earlier in life, but not in the context that I've had to over the last 3 years. There's a portion of creativity that says fuck it, and then there's a part of creativity that has your heart. And I think as an artist, a lot of people would consume things and be like, oh, I really hope somebody likes this. And then there's a part of you in the midst of creating, say, I don't give a fuck if nobody likes this. And then that will make you deter or not, whether am I going to publish this now? Am I going to just keep it for myself? And then you go through that torment of emotions. Now you've grown an attachment to certain things. And I feel like it's easier said than done, but these are things that I've had to try to do my own, is to try to have a detached experience on the outcome. I think I have a Pisces moon. Let's just put that out there. Aries moon, Pisces moon, sidereal. If you will go through the experience of creativity as, I don't know what the outcome is going to be. That's the optimistic part of me having faith that if I'm supposed to have my art at the end of the day, I will have it, right? But then there's another part of me to say, if this art will be of help to someone else, I'll be able to give it up. So there's a level of detachment that I'm saying, create a scenario that you would be okay with and hold on to that. Let it be similar to what you're willing to take. Let that optimistic perspective on your desire to be what keeps you going. Even though you know there's a strong possibility it could turn out completely different, but still good. That is how we're going to have to go through North Node in Pisces. I feel like the only way we're going to be able to experience our vulnerability and creative experiences is if we at least say, I would love for it to work out this way. Even though you know it might not work out that way. Everything may not go as you said, but it might work out similar. The only way we can get through that is if you allow yourself to create on the timeline of the experiences you wish to have, which would then manifest things to come into alignment for you because you've already focused on something. So as creatives are posting online and finding what to create as content, there isn't someone that's going to create that narrative for you. You would have to then go into yourself and see what your inner child is wanting to experience, because your adult version of you has been so consumed with trying to figure it out. Your inner child has preferences, and it's up to you to give yourself permission to cater to that preference. So I thought about explaining this on the lines of, when they ask us when we were children, what do you want to be when you grow up? This is the grow up. This is the moment that you get to rewrite your story. This is the moment that you get to actually say, did I live up to the person that I said I wanted to be when I got asked that question as a child? Like, did you fulfill the mission? If not, this is your second chance. When you got that chance to be asked, what do you want to be? Ooh, there it goes. My phone about to crack. It's about to die. But when you wanted to, when you grew up, who you wanted to be, this is your second chance. This is your chance to see exactly what part of your imagination is gonna run wild and free and experience things and explore freely, at least without judging yourself, because that's the whole purpose of being creative, is to express yourself at the most vulnerable, purest aspect and not fall victim to critical like a critical perspective of your art. There's like good critiques, and then there's just like taunting your inner child for not being cool. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, there's so many things and there's so many ways to like devalue yourself in the midst of creating. Isn't the time. Like, this is a time to appreciate your inner child for exploring and finding something new. So if it doesn't work out the first time, that's not the time to stop. Like, you continue to keep creating so you can see the different variations of things that you can create, so that you can continue to create and have faith in the creation that you're creating, right? So I think I said enough. My phone's about to die, and I will see y'all in the next one.